the sudden passing of someone's child deeply affects them. There are certain things you never really move away from. So, and there are things you continue to acknowledge.
Yeah.
So whether you have had a child and the child is still here or not, it does not take away the fact that these children were yours. Yeah. She unceremoniously left or changed address.
I want you to speak to a couple that's going through loss, or even a mom. Speak both to a couple and a mom that's going through loss. What's one thing that you would want them to know? Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Mother's Day weekend, and today's video is a very special one. I'm hosting one of my friends. She's called Fortunate. She's going to share her journey on motherhood, the ups, the downs, the lessons that she has learned. And I know that it's going to impact you. I would like you to share this video with your friends. And if you're new here, please subscribe, like, and yeah, let's get into it. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you. It's such an honor being here.
Happy Mother's Day in advance.
Happy Mother's Day to you too.
Yeah, I want us to talk about motherhood and your journey of motherhood. So just tell us about you. Who is Fortunate? How many babies do you have? All that.
Oh, well, motherhood journey, interesting. So who am I? My name is Fortunate Ingabire. I like to go by the initials FIRM, F-I-R-M. The two extra names are from my family of origin and my family of choice. I'm married to one partner, Mr. Martin Mugarura, and I am a mother of two. One physically here with us and the other I carry in my heart. And yeah, I'm excited to share with you and I look forward to having an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I look forward to having an interesting conversation as well. So I want you to share with us what has been your best moment as a mom.
Well, my best moment as a mom was on 6th April 2017. So on that day I had my spotting, the blood, you know how they say before you give birth, either your water breaks
or you spot.
Yeah, so that morning I spotted. We went to the hospital and at about 11:35 p.m. I had a very beautiful baby girl called Ilya. A name that means God is Lord. And it was thrilling for me because looking at the the pregnancy, as not as excited getting to know I was pregnant. I mean, I was not yet married. I just met my boyfriend then, and there we were. I conceived a child. I was not sure what to do. I just finished school. I was applying for scholarships to go and study.
Like now I'm pregnant.
And now I was just there pregnant. I was like, so what next? I've just had a new job. It was a contract job, but well, I was just there. So the journey was not as exciting. And then suddenly, here we were with a child. Yeah, and just that moment of, oh, I'm now a mom was exciting for me.
I also want you to share with us what has been your most defining moment as a mom, like the one that is act in your brain.
Well, the most defining moment I think was the pregnancy. Because during that time, as I was trying to figure it out and trying to make sense of the whole pregnancy situation, there was a prayer I came across on YouTube. I'll probably find and share it with you. And in this prayer, it was a little unborn child praying to the mother. And one of the prayers was, I hope once I'm out of your tummy, you will love me. It was such a deep prayer that everyone needs to listen to it. I'm going to share it with you so that you can probably play it for them. And that particular prayer was a defining moment for me, because then I realized that it was not just about me, it was about the child that was being created within my womb. And I had to be purposeful to raise her well, love her. And then also because personally I didn't grow up with my parents, it was more of, okay, so now how am I going to raise my daughter?
Yeah.
So that moment just changed things for me. I had to figure out how it's going to happen, how I'm going to take care of her, how I'm going to live with her father, and all those stories. So that for me was very defining.
So tell us, many first-time moms. I remember me as a first-time mom. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to expect, like with my baby. Like, now you've given me a child. I'm the one supposed to care for this child, figure out how to breastfeed him. I was always panicked. I remember getting a baby to sleep on the tummy. I would sleep with one eye, one eye open. So take us through that journey of being a first-time mom. Yeah.
Oh, well, I think it was the hardest part. First of all, in the first week, well, the good thing is that it was a natural birth, so you recover faster.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting to know that there is a very little delicate person that you need to take care of. But then at that moment, you're literally on your own, but thankfully my husband was there. So it was just knowing that, okay, now I need to figure out how to breastfeed. Sometimes the milk is not coming out. Then you need to express. I remember at one moment, my boobs were so full. The baby was not latching onto the breast. So my neighbor gave me a manual pump and asked me to express.
You didn't know how to use it.
No idea. And as I was trying to express, it's like I was actually just stimulating the boobs the more, and the boobs are just becoming bigger. Do you get it? So now, as just there stuck, the child is not breastfeeding, my boobs are full, I don't know what to do, and I have a manual pump. You know, it has like a small ball. I think it was pink.
That's the thing.
Yeah, so you
pumping.
have to. No, this is a manual pump. So these particular ones have like an orange thing that you keep pressing. But nothing was coming out. So it was quite frustrating. But thankfully, eventually, someone told me, you know what to do? Just get an Avent pump. Then that you literally just try to do this, and then that is what actually helped eventually. But the whole process of trying to eliminate the milk from the breast and it is not coming out, the baby is not latching onto it because already it is so, it's a bit engorged. It's just, I don't know. I think that's one of the struggles mothers go through, because latching is not an easy thing. So not the babies are born with the, I think they have the sensation and they can figure out this is where the boob is. Some babies don't get it that easily. And when they do, sometimes the milk is too much. It will not just come out. So that is quite frustrating. And it was one of those things I really, really struggled with. Yeah.
So, okay, when you were introducing yourself, you shared about having two babies and one being physically here and the other one not being here. Can you take us down that road?
So, well, first of all, I need to be very clear that I know for sure that there's some people who like to say out there that you need to count your losses and move on. That's actually what they like to say. But my journey as I grow into this adulthood is that there are certain things you never really move away from. So, and there are things you continue to acknowledge. So whether you have had a child and the child is still here or not, it does not take away the fact that these children were yours. And the child was here. So now my firstborn, Ilya, in 2020, in the middle of lockdown, I think on the very day the president said we are locking down and cars can't move. That was on 25th March. She unceremoniously left or changed address. So she was not exactly unwell, but she was not eating well. And this particular day, she'd spent the day with the dad at home, and the dad thought she was going to get dehydrated because she was not eating. So he decided to take her to the hospital. We had a conversation where to go, and eventually we agreed on where to go. And unfortunately, So, well, about 6 p.m. they get in, she's walking, she's bubbly, but okay, yes, the child was not in the whole day. And all they wanted was getting some glucose. So I joined them at the hospital, and in a space of 2 hours, the doctor just turned and said, I'm sorry, I can't find the pulse. Now, in that moment, I didn't know, well, I'm not a movie watcher, so I didn't know that what the doctor meant was that she was gone. So I asked him, what do you mean you can't find the pulse? What do we need to do to find that pulse? But also at the same time, when, and this happened shortly after they had put on a drip, on a dose of epicephalin. So once I figured at a certain point that things seemed not to be the way they should be going, I asked my friend if they could help us call our insurance to send us an ambulance. And at the same time, this doctor was telling us we can't find the pulse. The ambulance had just gotten to the gate. And as soon as it happened, it started raining. And maybe something I forgot to say was that on 6th April at 11:35, as soon as she came out of my body, it started raining. So I don't know, there's something about that rain that I'm yet to figure out. Yeah. But now it was about 11 days to her 3rd birthday. And that stayed with me and I think I'll probably carry on for a while. I don't know. I'll share in future if it changes. But so that is why I say I have 2 children, one physically here, the other deep in my heart. So I still count her. I still count both my children because I'll never have another firstborn. She'll always be the firstborn.
Take us through the journey of that. You know, as moms, I feel like there's a special connection that we have with our children because we carry them, you feel the baby moving. Yes, the fathers also connect, but there's a different connection that we have with our children. So now the journey of losing, especially your first, you had gone through the emotions of conceiving her in a way that you hadn't planned and all that, and then now losing her. How was that for you as a mom? How do you journey through such a valley?
Well, you'll forgive me.
No, it's okay.
So I think these children are really us because before they are who they are in us. It's until you have that cut of the cord and the blood splits
Separates you.
that then this person becomes independent and you. But then also, it doesn't take away the fact that your blood still flows within them. Yeah. So, and then also it simply means that a bit of them is still within you. That's what I believe. So it's just that little cut that's done, and then there's a bit of separation. But before, the two are one. Yeah. So with that, the sudden passing of someone's child deeply affects them. And the effect is different for everyone. But one thing that I have seen and that I have learned is that there's an emptiness that you feel, and then even in their absence, there's still a connection you feel with them.
Yeah.
And there's still a deep connection you feel with them, and it never goes away. It never goes away. That is why you hear even old parents saying that that's my child. Of, you know, some people say this person will always be my baby because I mean you're still their child. So now the incident of that child going away is very significant because a part of you has literally gone. Yeah. And there are so many things that you go through as a person, some spoken, others unspoken, and some you'll never really share with anyone. And there are also certain things that nobody will ever understand, no matter their depth of loss. There is a certain feeling, or there's a certain component of your loss that nobody else will ever understand. And sadly, even when they are saying count your loss and onomana against this child is gone, you now have another child, count this blessing, it only comes from a place of not understanding what you have gone through, what you're going through, because it's not just a case of dead gone. No, it's unfortunately
she's always there,
always, and probably never going to go away. Because like I said, unfortunately, there's an experience that you'll have when you're having your first child that will be different when you're having your second child. That will exactly. So it really doesn't matter how many children you have. No single child will be like the other child. There might be a certain resemblance, but all kids are different, uniquely gifted, and also here for a particular purpose. So, for example, my daughter, Ilya, I believe had come to probably heal me from another loss I'd experienced in the past. And I remember when she passed, the question I kept asking God was, so God, you brought Ilya to heal me from the loss of my granddad. So she's gone now. So who is going to heal me from losing her? And what is healing going to look like anyway? And I never had an answer at that moment. And I'm probably just going through the answer now as I'm sharing my stories now, because I probably don't think I would be here right now talking about it if it wasn't because Ilya was not here. And then maybe just to say that I have experienced firsthand God's grace. And I remember during that period where we were in lockdown, the only thing that I kept saying was that, you know what, no matter what has happened, my belief is one. God is still Lord.
He is still Lord.
God is still Lord.
Wow. And I feel like it happened at a time when the whole world was shut down, secluded. Because usually when someone suffers such a great loss, at least you're surrounded by people to remind you. But now all you had was God and your husband.
You can imagine.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it was on that particular day that the president said, no more movements. If any car is going to move, I need only 3 people in the car. And the next day we had to figure out travel arrangements to go to the village in Kabale in Nyabushabi for burial. And I remember, well, first of all, at the hospital, candidly, even in the rain, friends and family gathered around us. They were there. But remember, it was the day the directive was made. So what that implied is that 12 people were there at that moment. There are certain places they would not go. So the next day when we were traveling, it was my husband, a couple of his family, then a few friends, and then my family, paternal and maternal. And that was it. So when I look back, when I got to the village in Nyabushabi, if it had not been for my maternal family, my mom and my little sister who came that day, I found them there. And of course my husband, I would have been there alone.
Wow.
Because because of the lockdown, even my friends could not come. And I remember during that period, I received a lot of financial contribution, but my experience then taught me that sometimes all a person needs
is your presence.
Is physical presence.
Yeah.
So that was also a turning point for me.
Yeah.
I got to understand that it's not always about
Money.
the mabugo that we send out. Sometimes all a person needs is you being there. And that is why I will never, ever forget Manuela. So she was not there, but she's the only one who had the courage to just keep calling me and stay on my phone. So others will probably try to send a message. But then this chick, I had just met her meanwhile, but she thought or felt, or she was, maybe God led her to just keep calling me and saying, I don't know, but I don't know what to say to you. I don't know what to tell you, but I just have the leading to just call and pray. And I'm like, but okay. Then she would be on the phone. I would not say anything, and she would just stay on the phone. Then she would pray and then hang up. She would call me like twice. I think that very night she must have called me about 2 times. And that stayed with me because, I mean, I just met her. We are not best friends. And all of a sudden, it's like God was just putting people around me for that moment of like, you know what, you might feel like you're alone right now, but you're not. And you might probably want some kind of physical presence, but it's not what I'm giving you. It's not what you need right now. Maybe all you need is some girl you just met a few months ago to just pray for you or pray with you on the phone. And it was, when I got back, first of all, I had so many questions. I questioned my friendships. I questioned my personality generally. I'm like, maybe also I'm a bad friend. I mean, how come? Okay, yes, they came at home. They came to the hospital. But I mean, when we were going to the village to do the actual sending off, they were not there. So I had so many questions. But then I also understood the circumstances at the time. It's just that in the moment, as all those things were happening, like life is generally, you'll have questions. Yeah, you'll have questions. So I believe it's also part of the reason why I continue to share. It's part of the reason I've written a book about it. It's part of the reason I am being intentional and purposeful about helping other people on their healing journey, because I know that we all need help at a certain point. I may not be able to physically be present at everyone's moment to support them. But then I also know that if one person can just get a hold of that book, they will be guided and probably comforted as they continue on their healing journey, because my experience is that with loss, there's so much that goes on that eventually you need to heal from. And like I always say, it's not a marathon. It's a journey. It's not like you just wake up and say, yes, I lost, now I am healed. No. No.
I want you to also take us on a journey of how that looked for you as a couple. Would have loved to have Martin here share his journey, but if you can speak for what you know, you as a couple and also him as a dad, how do you now get to this place where you're now sharing Ilia's story?
Well, I think as a couple, it was very hard. First of all, remember his son had spent the day with the child.
Yeah.
And the child looked like him. The child was his spitting. They had an interesting resemblance, except that she was lighter. But yeah.
Yeah.
And she was a girl. So they had a special bond. Now, deep within him, I can't speak for how he feels. I really, I don't know, I wouldn't speak for him. I would want him to speak for himself. So, honey, I hope you can share your version of the story. But I know that it was hard. Not only for him for me, but for both of us. And the other interesting thing is that with the loss, you find that people are more inclined on checking on the wife,
The
the
mother,
mother.
the wife,
Yeah, they forget
the
the
man.
man. And my experience was that this also deeply affects the man, because everybody is telling him,
Be a man.
be a man, be strong for your wife.
You will have
Man,
other babies.
you'll have other children, but mkazi wawe, your wife, mkazi wo. So the man is stuck in that space of,
How do I grieve?
how do I grieve? How do I grieve while I'm helping my wife? What do I do? So I think that was very significant for us, because even me, I didn't know how to do it. Now me, because of the isolation, I was busy, I was in the Bible, and also personality, we are different. So he started his running journey. He said he went on to some sort of fitness journey. I don't know if there's this adrenaline, I think it gives him. So I believe it was not, if it wasn't for the loss he was experiencing at that time, I don't think he would have done it. So he started by walking, then started running. Even today morning he went for his 32-kilometer run, because he has to achieve a certain 350, 370 kilometers before the month ends. And I believe that was his way of coping. It has turned into a habit, but it was his way of trying to cope. And when you ask him, he says he's okay, but I know that it has also changed his outlook towards life. So we live in the now. Unfortunately, there are certain things that we do that I'm more of, I'm doing it because now, which is sometimes absurd, but also sometimes good, depending on what lens you look at it from. And it also generally affected the marriage, I think, to a great extent, because all of us were into our, I'm trying to heal, I'm trying to heal. So
tell us about that. How it affected your marriage?
I don't know how to put it, but all of us were on our own. You know, I'm trying to heal. Everybody is trying to heal. It's just that there are certain, I don't know how to exactly put this. There are certain things on your healing journey that you will have to take on your own. There are certain journeys you don't do jointly. So for example, right now, let me use an example now. Well, for example, right now I can say that I'm on the healing journey. I'm sharing my story, and he's allowed me to share the story. It takes time for example, him to say, okay, now let's go share the joint story. Because that is a decision everyone makes on their own. And it's also a choice each one has to make. You don't decide, boom, all of us are going to do this. No, it's a journey. And this is because, for example, we're doing Doha before we were serving in Doha. Now, serving in Doha, it's blessing marriages. Now, that's a choice you've made as a couple. We are going to go and bless marriages.
Bless marriages.
Yes. Now, when this happens, it now puts in a place of, but God, He said, in marriage you shall be fruitful. We shall have children. Now the fruit has gone. Now, are we going to go back and bless more marriages? What are we going to tell them? What are we going to tell them? So it takes time for you to now go back to that place of, okay, now we are going to go and talk about restoration. Now, at that point you're going to go and talk about restoration, God will speak to us individually. So I will come and talk about restoration, perhaps, so we're on a journey of restoration, but you'll also individually speak to him about restoration, and then at that point you can say we are now together to talk about restoration. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I also want you to share being pregnant with your second after losing your first, those emotions and the anxieties, and what did you suffer any of those? How was that pregnancy with the second? And if you've been hearing a baby in the background, that's our second blessing. Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, God has an interesting sense of humor. So if you recall that year in January or February during Noah, when we met and we were doing our vision boards, well, there are certain things I had on my list. On Martin's list, I think one of them was more children. Yeah. That is what he wanted for that year. And I think around that time we must have tried to conceive, but we didn't conceive. And then in March, even the one we had left. Yeah. Then I think around June that same year or earlier, I conceived.
Without even trying?
No.
Wow.
No, but we had tried. So God has an interesting sense of humor.
Yeah.
So, but I had a dream.
Tell us.
I had a dream, and in that dream, I had conceived 2 babies. Aww. And one baby was Comfort, the other was Eli. I don't know if that was the exact name, but you know, I got during that period, I got a
book, a journal.
A dream journal. So I started writing down my dreams, but it just happened that in the morning I forgot the second name. So when I forgot the name, the only name I could remember was Comfort. So my daughter is called Umuhoza. Iva, gracious. Umuhoza. Iva means God is gracious. Kukunda kwe is God's love. Yeah. Then Umuhoza is comfort in Kinyarwanda, so that is why we gave her the name Umuhoza. So I have a friend who stays in the States. She also called me and told me about a lady who had given birth in November, somewhere in Bali. And that lady had called that child Comfort. So I know they say things are very spiritual and all. So just that connection in the same period of the name Comfort and of the pregnancy, then of a child being born. And this girl telling me before I even told her about it was just more like a confirmation. So actually on that day, Martin was not home. I asked him
when you found out?
No, when I had the dream. And then the next morning, when I spoke to that girl, she's called Florence. I called my husband and told him to bring for me a pregnancy test.
Wow.
And
did you have any signs?
No.
You were just going to test?
Just because I had a dream.
Come on.
Just because I had a dream. So I tested and voila. It was a positive line. But the line was very faint. It was very faint. So we were all in shock. Like, what? Yeah, so before I actually did the test, he asked me, so why are we testing? I'm like, I had that dream.
I had a dream. Yeah. So how was that pregnancy journey?
The pregnancy journey was just the anxiety, the uncertainty, everything was there. And it was one of those pregnancies where I had to decide that I'm not going to have a natural birth, and I actually had a C-section. So we also had, what are they called? Not Braxton Hacks, but we had early labor. I think I spotted at about, how many weeks? I don't recall, but I spotted. I went to the hospital and they said I was in labor. I was dilated.
So they had to put that stitch?
No. Which is still strange. Because we got to the hospital, the doctor said, let's check. They checked, I was dilated, and then they said, no, let's give you medicine. Let's just go and wait. And the entire time we were on YouTube trying to find prayers. Yeah. So we went back, waited a little longer. Baby stayed in for about another month or so.
Wow.
And then we had her, but we had her by C-section. So one of the reasons we had her by C-section was because we were just in that place of what if.
Not taking chances.
Not taking chances, yeah. Because also when I had Ilya, when she got out, she didn't cry immediately. You know, babies cry, so she didn't cry immediately. Just put her on the tummy, then they took her out to clean up and So knowing that, and because she was a big baby, I had an episiotomy. So we didn't want to go through that whole scare again. It's like, you know what, after all, they say with a C-section, they would remove the baby. So so that was that. It was a lot. And even now, honestly, parenting after loss is equally hard.
Yes, I want you to tell me about that, like how you're able to parent her to be independent and what, but still caring for your heart and what you have gone through.
It's very hard. It's very hard, but I think there are certain things that God takes us through and shows us for us to be able to manage our next stages in life. So I have learned how to be a mother set free.
Wow. Say that again.
I've learned how to be a mother set free because I know that, for example, God has given us resources, so I will go ahead and install cameras in my home so that I can occasionally check to see if she's okay. But then also, I have learned that there are certain things that are beyond my control. And as a mother, I am but just a mere steward.
There's only so much you can do to protect your kids.
I am a steward, and these children are God's before they are mine. So Iva is God's responsibility.
And so was Ilya.
And so was Ilya. And for Ilya, whatever happened could have been avoided, but it had to happen for a bigger purpose. Which purpose probably is this that we're doing right now? Sharing her story and the power of God. And because there's so many circumstances that could have prevented it happening. I mean, you could mix glucose at home and give the baby and not take her to the hospital. You get it? You could try all other things before going to the hospital. Because everything happened after she got to the hospital. Now, Iva, on the other hand, I believe, I like to say she's my joy in the morning. Because she came after such a difficult time. So, and I've also learned that I must count it all joy, no matter what I go through. But in saying that I'm a mother set free is knowing that God gives me wisdom and guidance and resources to take care of this child. But in a time when I'm not there, because He's all-knowing, He's all-seeing, He's all-powerful, it's on Him.
He'll take care.
It's on Him. And I want to believe that He never really intends for us to go through the pain we go through. And even when we go through them, like Job, He's there with us. And He's still God and He's still Lord. And He's so gracious and merciful. So I know that in His power, He's able to protect her and cover her where I'm not able to. So it is the only way I'm able to really. You've seen her. She's a bit independent. She's happy, but sometimes clingy, like any other child anyway. And I'm so blessed to have her because, I mean, I know there are other people who've probably gone through the same. And all they want is another baby. So I appreciate that very much. And my hope and prayer for them is that God will manifest strongest and deliver on His promise of restoration, because He's a God that heals, He's a God that restores, and a God that redeems.
Yes. I want you to speak to a couple that's going through loss, or even a mom speak both to a couple and a mom that's going through loss, what's one thing that you would want them to know?
Oh, to the mom that's going through loss, I'm so sorry for the pain that you're going through. I know it's never easy. I know that even I would never really understand the depth of your pain because everyone's pain is different, yeah? But I know the depth of loss. And my hope and prayer is that God will engulf you with his love and comfort as you go through the season, that you will continue to be grounded in him, knowing that he's a God that heals, he's the God that redeems and the God that restores, and that he will come and heal your heart in a way that nobody else would ever do it, that you'll have more babies, but I know that even these babies will never be the baby that you've lost. But even in that place, that you will be grateful for the little blessing that you've now received, or the little blessing that you're expecting, because sometimes we get carried away by the loss that we've gone through, that we forget what we are beholding, the blessing that we are beholding. And to the couple that is experiencing loss, friends, it's never really easy. Never. But my prayer for you both is that you will stick together. You will stick together, you will stand by your vows, that you'll be there for each other. I know that they're probably checking on the mother more and they're checking on you, the dad.
Yeah.
But I pray that even in that moment, that will not put you apart, but that you will purpose as a couple to continue to grow and heal together, and that you will find meaning and purpose in your season of grief. But most importantly, that both of you will together be intentional about finding ways of healing self and healing each other, and things that are going to be very helpful for both of you, because I know there are so many options out there. Some might be good, others might be bad, but that God will give you the wisdom and the spirit of discernment so that you will make the right choice as you heal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lastly, I also want you to speak to friends and family of people who are navigating loss, especially loss of a child. How should we be there for such a friend or such a person? And also share your book, the title, and where we can get it from.
Okay, so for the friends and family who have a friend who is experiencing loss, I know sometimes it's hard to have the right words to tell that person. I know there are some things that we will say from a good place, but unfortunately they will come off as inconsiderate to the person that you're speaking to. So my hope and prayer for you is that you will be guided by God, that you will read the room, that you will read the room, that you will know when it is time to say something and time not to just
be there.
Time to just be there, just be present. Because sometimes all the person needs is for you to be there.
Yeah.
For you to just be there, probably hold their hand, or sometimes
cry together,
just be there. And I also know that we people, sometimes we people can be very annoying. We can be very annoying because while you think you're being very nice, the other person is you're offending them. So I pray that you will be gracious to that person, that you will appreciate the fact that some of the things they're going through are things they don't understand. Even them, they're in that zone. So the same way you don't know how to help them, they don't know how to help themselves. So it's more of read the room, know when it's time to just be there, know when it's time to send just a message, just a hi, I'm checking in. Know when it's time to just drop in and say, I just brought you food. And know when it's time to say, I'll be here when you need be.
Yeah.
And pray for them.
I think that's the best thing you can ever do for anyone.
Yeah, because sometimes all a person needs is the prayer, because through your prayer, God will send maybe the exact help that she or he needs in that moment.
I know these things of telling someone, I'm going to pray for you.
No, actually pray.
Actually pray.
Actually pray.
Yeah.
Sometimes, over and above the prayer, person probably just needs to smell some air. Just need to step out and breathe some air.
Yeah. Okay, tell us about your book as we conclude.
So, the book is Finding Healing After Losing a Loved One. So you can get copies at Mahiri Bookshop, but then also, given the sensitivity of the subject, I like to give a personal touch to it. So I autograph.
You like to autograph?
Yeah, or send a small note. So you can just reach out directly and get a copy. Yeah, but you can also get a copy from Mahiri Bookshop.
Okay. Thank you, Fortunate, for sharing your story. I am honored that you accepted to share your story with me on my channel. And I know that you're going to help so many families. I know that your testimony is a big one. We don't know why God allowed such things to happen, but we know that He will use your testimony for His glory.
Thank you for having me over. And indeed, may it glorify God.
And she's also wearing a necklace with Ilya's name. I love that.
Yeah, I move with her and move with the
the
sister,
blessing.
the blessing, the joy in the morning.
Yeah.